Okay, ladies, we are going to start with some very juicy celebrity gossip. And this has to do with actor Dominic West, who was caught kissing, canoodling much younger actress Lily James. They were actually spotted in Rome. That's where they were shooting a series together. And shortly after the photos came out, here's the funny part. Dominic and his wife actually ended up posing outside of their own home and provided this great photo op for the paparazzi. And then after this, handed the paparazzi a note. The note says, "Our marriage is strong and we are very much still together." Is this the weirdest thing ever? Our resident gossip queen, Lainey Lui, what the heck is going on here?
It is totally bonkers, and it's also a little old school because this is not typically the way celebrities these days address rumors or whatever scandal. That's what social media is for. But back in the 90s and the early 2000s, we remember before Instagram and before Twitter, celebrities would, engage in these kinds of tactics to try and change the narrative. The best example I can come up with is Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, who were engaged in 2003, but shortly before their wedding, he was busted at a Vancouver strip club. It caused major tension between them, and they called off their wedding in Montecito. It was supposed to be on September 3rd, 2003. They called it off just days before. The same day they made the announcement that they were no longer getting married, the two of them showed up hand in hand, leaving the Ivy. At the time, the Ivy was the place everybody went to if you wanted to get paparazzi and send a message. And so this kind of feels like we are kicking it old school. Dominic West, good for you, bringing back, the old celebrity playbook. But it's really bizarre.
No, ladies, you want to know why that note? First of all, I have problems with that note because these are still coronavirus times. You want to know why that note was so cringeworthy? It's because it's still cringeworthy to talk about open marriages. If y'all have not seen the photos of Dominic and Lily running about the place in Rome so open and blatant, you can't tell me that's any sort of affair. All parties involved must have known what was going down in Europe, okay? I think what was happening here was not an affair. It most definitely was an arrangement, and I just don't think that awkward photo op and note was a weird way of explaining it because it's so hard to talk about open marriages, especially in a society that is not ready to handle that information. Maybe we should get ready to handle that information because a recent study shows that actually 4% of adults are in open relationships or are looking to get into open relationships. 4% doesn't sound like a lot, ladies, but guess what? That is 1 in 25, which means if you know 12 couples, one of the 12 of your friends is in a consensual open relationship. So I think that was the case here, and we all just need to mind our business.
First of all, I am 1000% behind you, Kayla, because if this was truly an illicit affair, why was their manager and the manager's young daughter also at lunch with them while they were all over each other in the middle of Rome, one of the most romantic cities in Europe? I am 1000% behind you here, Kayla. I think the only challenge here is not only that society is not really willing or doesn't want to open its mind and heart to the possibility of relationships being unconventional like this, but this couple also shares 4 young kids. And I think the youngest is 7. I think the oldest is 13. He also does have an older daughter from a past relationship who's 22. So the question is, it's one thing for maybe Dominic and his wife to have an arrangement if they do, but it's another thing if they are going to share it with their children, is how you explain these kinds of photos to your children. Who knows? Maybe the kids know and they don't even care. And we're making a big to do about nothing. But maybe they don't know because this is a very unconventional adult thing. I don't know. And it might be harder now to explain this to the children. So I think the joke's on us.
I don't think like we are making a big to do out of nothing. I think they're making a big to do out of I don't know what this is. Because here's the thing. Not only do we have these photos, but her friends are speaking to the UK tabloids, talking about how Catherine, I mean the wife, is shocked and devastated by what she saw in Rome. But also, this is terrible crisis management. You just turned it into a crisis. When you have to call the paparazzi on yourself, I mean, those paps did not just show up in their countryside home because they felt like going for a drive, everybody. They were called. When you have to call the paparazzi on yourself, it is desperado time. So I want to know, don't invite me into the story, desperados, unless there's a story here. This is the problem.
Yeah, that was a bit of a strange choice. I mean, I will admit this sort of fell on my radar on Twitter as I was scrolling. I was like, who? What's going on? Why are people talking about this? And then I just kind of scrolled by because I don't know either of these people and I don't care about them. But then I did Googling for this topic and I was shocked, quite frankly, at how many people have written about this. There's a lot of think pieces about this right now. And I mean, for me personally, I really couldn't care less. I guess if it was like a preacher, like a preacher or a politician who was preaching family values, who was caught in this kind of scenario, then I might care. If it was like maybe someone who I cared about, like Jason Momoa caught like this, I might have a moment where I was like, why wasn't it me? But then I would move along, I'm sure. But this is an actor who was sort of caught making out with another actor, maybe, and who he's working with right now. And to me, like,
it's not a
so
maybe.
Making out with her, fine, but it is one in sex positive circles. You might call this. It's possible him and his wife have what's called a DADT, a don't ask, don't tell, which is why she might have been hurt by it if that's the agreement. Regardless, this impacts my life in exactly 0 ways. So it's curious to me. What's interesting to me is why people care. To me, is it because this story triggers unconscious fears? Is it because it triggers unconscious desires? Are we just collectively really bored? That's a possibility too. I don't really know.
Our boss just asked me, why am I writing down DADT? And I'm like, because that's interesting. I'm going to look that up later. But Cynthia, just like you, I have to ask myself some major questions here because this is not normally something I would click on. But I found myself clicking on all of the links, taking me to these photos, these paparazzi photos in Rome. Why was I doing this? And I wonder if I was hearkening back to like the glory days of gossip, like when Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton had an affair on the set of Cleopatra in Rome. And that gossip changed gossip history forever. Lainey, I bet, can speak more on that. But Burton played Mark Antony, and Antony, of course, had an affair with Cleopatra, and he left his wife for her and, changed history. And I just got swept up into it all. And I'm scrolling through these glorious paparazzi photos, and then something made me feel a little gross. First of all, it was Dominic's, you know how you can have like a chain to keep your glasses here? I have one, but it's at the office, and I still haven't picked it up. But I have to say, it doesn't scream sexy to me, the chain. At least when I wear it. And then the next thing on the Daily Mail, I'm scrolling down trying to get into this like these Rome photos, and then there's an ad. Daily Mail lets you know if you want to buy the dress that Lily's wearing, here's the link to buy the dress. And I'm just like, you know what? This isn't the glory of gossip anymore. This is gross. I'm out.